The crossover nobody saw coming just became the chaos everyone needed. Picture this. The calm turquoise waters of Australia glimmering under the morning sun, the deck of the luxury yacht sparkling with champagne glasses and salt-kissed glitter, and somewhere in the middle of it all, a stuffed purple unicorn about to become reality TV history. Britani Bateman strutted onto the deck that morning, holding Uni the unicorn like it was the Hope Diamond. The crew could feel the tension even before breakfast. This wasn't just a toy. It was preloaded with Jared Osman's voice, a reminder of a romance that was supposedly on a 30-day pause. But judging from the way Britani clutched it, the pause might as well have been permanent heartbreak. Bronwyn Newport watched from the corner, espresso in hand, the corners of her lips curling into that mischievous smirk only Housewives fans know too well. Meredith Marks sat beside her, calm and calculating as always, sunglasses shielding whatever plan was forming behind them. Bronwyn leaned over and whispered, "You know what this boat needs? A little sacrifice." At first, Meredith brushed her off, pretending not to care. But Bronwyn's tone, playful, a little wicked, planted a seed. "Think of it as cleansing energy," she said, twirling her spoon in the air like a wand. "Britani's been holding on to that unicorn like it's her emotional support therapist. It's time to let it go." And just like that, the morning took a turn. Before the first mimosa was poured, Bronwyn had already hatched a plan. She strutted down the corridor, snatched the unicorn from Britani's cabin with the stealth of someone who'd done this before, and returned with Uni dangling in her hand. "I come bearing gifts," she said, giggling, holding up the unicorn like a trophy. Meredith's eyes widened. "You didn't." "Oh, I did," Bronwyn replied. "And we're taking it for a swim." If Bravo had background music for mischief, it would have started playing right there. Meredith hesitated for a split second, then said in her confessional later, "I guess I can't throw Britani overboard, so Uni will have to do." The two housewives disappeared below deck, returning 10 minutes later, dressed in what could only be described as chaos couture. Bronwyn had somehow transformed into a glittering lobster, claws, tail, and all, while Meredith, in true Marks fashion, went for drama, an inflatable pink shark costume that inflated with every step, squeaking as she moved. Together, they crept across the deck like they were on a covert mission. The crew couldn't stop laughing, but nobody dared intervene. "Housewives on a mission are scarier than a thunderstorm at sea," Bronwyn whispered. "Ready?" Meredith nodded, adjusting her fin. "It's time to fly," she said with absolute conviction, channeling her inner action hero as she hurled Uni across the water. The purple unicorn soared, spun midair, and splashed down 40 yards away, a sacrifice complete. But the sound of the splash wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Britani's scream echoed seconds later. "Where's Uni?" Cue the chaos. She stormed out onto the deck, her face a mix of shock, fury, and heartbreak. The rest of the housewives froze, some pretending to look busy, others suppressing laughter. A few crew members subtly reached for the champagne because they knew this was about to be a long morning. Bronwyn tried to keep a straight face but failed miserably. "He's free now," she announced dramatically, gesturing to the horizon. "Uni's finally swimming with the dolphins," Meredith, deadpan, added. "It was for the greater good." That line, "for the greater good," instantly became meme material online. Fans were already clipping it, turning it into reaction GIFs, editing dolphins behind the floating unicorn. But in that moment, on that boat, it wasn't just funny, it was war. Britani wasn't letting this go. "You think this is a joke? That was Jared's voice in there," Bronwyn shrugged. "Then maybe Jared can finally get some fresh air." Tension snapped like a wave against steel. The mood on the yacht shifted from playful to stormy in seconds. The producers didn't even need to step in. This was gold. And as Britani stomped below deck to call Jared, or maybe just to cry into a pillow, Meredith and Bronwyn exchanged the kind of smile only partners in chaos can share. It wasn't about the unicorn anymore. It was about dominance, energy, and yes, revenge. But here's where things got even wilder. When the crew went to check the waters hours later, Uni was gone. Not floating, not sinking. Just gone. The sea had swallowed it, or something had taken it. And rumors spread fast. Some said dolphins carried it away. Others swore they saw a fin nearby. Not Meredith's inflatable one, but something real. The housewives were half joking that the sacrifice had awakened yacht karma. By the time the sun melted into the ocean, the yacht had transformed from a party deck into something out of a Bravo fever dream. The air was thick with drama, the kind that feels almost scripted but somehow isn't. Bronwyn Newport sat cross-legged on the deck, surrounded by candles she'd borrowed from the chef's pantry. Meredith Marks hovered nearby in her pink shark suit, sipping white wine like it was a ritual offering. The crew pretended not to stare. The housewives were dead serious. They were holding a ceremony to summon Uni back from the sea. Bronwyn raised a glass of rosé toward the dark horizon. To Uni, who gave his life for emotional clarity. Meredith followed, monotone as ever. And to Britani, who might forgive us before sunrise. Unlikely, Bronwyn muttered, grinning. Meanwhile, Britani hadn't spoken to either of them since the sacrifice. She'd locked herself in her cabin, just lights off, scrolling through old videos of Jared's voice trapped inside that unicorn's recorder. Every time she replayed his words, "Hey babe, remember to breathe," the anger burned hotter. But below deck wasn't the only place things were heating up. Up top, the waves had begun to change. Gentle swells turned into restless ripples. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies, I need everyone inside. Storm's rolling in." Of course, the housewives didn't listen. Meredith, now slightly tipsy, lifted her fin and said, "The sea is responding." Bronwyn laughed. "See? Even Poseidon wants Uni back." A flash of lightning tore across the sky, reflecting off the water. And in that instant, they all saw it. A glimmer of purple bobbing just beyond the deck lights. It was Uni, the unicorn, soaked, seaweed tangled around its horn, but unmistakably there, floating like it had swum back home. The housewives screamed like they'd seen a ghost. Bronwyn dropped her glass. Meredith froze. "It's back," she whispered, half amused, half horrified. Britani burst from below deck at the sound, her hair still wet from tears. "What's going on?" When she saw the unicorn, she didn't hesitate. She ran, grabbed the net pole from the deckhand, and leaned dangerously far over the railing. Waves crashed, wind howled, but she managed to hook it and drag it in, falling backward as Uni landed on top of her. It was chaos. Everyone yelling, waves slamming against the yacht, thunder rumbling overhead. But Britani didn't care. She clutched the soaked unicorn, pressing the button on its belly. The toy made a faint sound, static, then silence. Then Jared's voice came through. "Hey babe, I told you I'd come back." Everyone went silent. Bronwyn's jaw dropped. Meredith blinked, unsure if this was real or the champagne talking. Even the crew stared in disbelief. Britani started crying, not just tears of sadness, but something deeper. Relief, maybe. "You see," she said through tears, "you can't kill love, not even at sea." Bronwyn, usually quick with a snarky comeback, didn't say a word. For the first time, she actually looked sorry. "Okay, maybe that was a little too far," she admitted. Meredith shrugged. "Or maybe it's fate. Either way, it's iconic." The storm broke soon after, and the captain ordered everyone inside. As the housewives huddled around the lounge, wrapped in towels and sipping hot tea, producers whispered behind the cameras, already planning the next day's interviews. Britani placed Uni gently on the table, letting it dry. "You two owe me a new stuffed animal," she said quietly, "but I think we're even." Bronwyn nodded. "Truce?" "Truce." But that wasn't the end. Not for the fans watching at home. The clip of Uni's return went viral before the episode even aired. Viewers were convinced Bravo had staged it, while others swore it was proof of Housewives' manifestation energy. And of course, the biggest question everyone was asking, did Jared actually plan this? By the time the full episode aired, Jared Osmond himself commented under a Bravo clip, "I told her I'd always come back. Cue the internet imploding." Bronwyn and Meredith did a joint went this line pamphleting. Watch What Happens live appearance later that week, sipping martinis and half joking that they were professional spiritual healers now. Andy Cohen couldn't stop laughing. "Only you two could turn a stuffed unicorn into a Bravo legend," he said.